Hello, my name's Julia Lockhart and I'm one half of Dreams ID with Professor Mark Blagrove. This video shows my process of finding a text or pages from a text on which I work to interpret visually a dream. So the book that we've been given permission to use and to tear pages out of is Freud's interpretation of dreams. And this usually takes about an hour of consultation with a dreamer. And while the consultation is happening with Mark, I will create this kind of dream into Freud's text. This allows for a very rich reading of the text where I pull out keywords and key ideas which then are incorporated into the drawing. So I'd like to begin by reading out the dream that we're referring to here. I'm in a building that's big, made with blocks of stone. It feels like it's hundreds of years old, and I'm not sure how many stories it is, but it feels like it's almost a square. It's open in the interior, like the Guggenheim in New York, but with square corners instead of round. The landings are all on the outside, and it's open down the middle, so you could potentially see all the way down to the bottom. In my dream, I can't. It's kind of murky down there. I'm walking down the corridor along the outside edge of the top floor, heading toward the staircase. I'm going to turn right and start heading down. But on my left is the tapestry that I would have just walked by, except that as I'm walking by it, it moves, or it's folded, or there's some way that it gets my attention. From first glance, it's sort of nondescript, it's faded, it doesn't really stand out, but then it gets my attention and I turn and look at it. It's really, really old, like one of those carpets, was bright when it was made, but now has faded to pale orangey colour. When I look at it, I don't really see any detail. I can't really tell what's on it, but I think I see a tree. In the dream, I think, the tree of life. But there's so much in it. It feels like all of life is represented in it. So that's the dream that is then discussed with Mark in greater detail, and it's read a couple of times to me in the process so that I can pick up the key elements and put them into the drawing. So you can see there that I've began by identifying the shape of the tapestry, and then I bring in the tree, and the tree, as it begins to be discussed, sort of goes beyond the tapestry. It's sort of alive, and this is an element that keeps coming up in the discussion. I also put in very quickly the square banisters and the steps going round, and also the discussion led to the steps being oak, and so I brought in kind of wood grain and oak colours into the landing areas, and you can see that each banister has a space between it in which there's text. So I'm just going to let you watch the process rather than talking you through it, so that you can see the development of the image, and at the end we'll show you the finished image. So you can see the drawing is almost finished now. The animals that were described on the tapestry, which was bursting with life, have all been built around the word dream. Obviously, it's Freud's interpretation of dreams, so the word dream is on the text a lot. But you can see that the birds around the word dream, the tree has content written in its branches. The fox has dream in its head, and there's a bear at the top which has the dream works. And then further down underneath the water, you've got the snake, which is made up of the word dreams. And you can see that the banisters have a psychoanalytic treatment written within them. And then as you get into the spaces between the banisters, you can see a kind of set of links between the idea of home, relations between characteristics of the dream thoughts, which are sensory. So there was a lot of sensory data here. The idea of the individual dream, the sharpness of definition, indistinctness, real objects. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick talk through the process, and thank you very much for listening.